In 1860, the abolitionist movement was ascendant, and the pro-slavery Democratic Party was in shambles. It was the year Abraham Lincoln was on the ballot, until Southern Democrats kicked him off the ballot. Instead of trying to win an election with persuasion, Southern Democrats booted Lincoln off the ballot in 10 states. But even that wasn't enough. Lincoln became the first president ever to be elected with less than 50% of the vote. And then the Civil War broke out the next year, and Abraham Lincoln was later assassinated. History always has a way of repeating itself. Last night, just like Southern Democrats did to Lincoln, the Colorado Supreme Court banished Trump from the ballot. The Colorado Secretary of State explains why.
I think that the big picture, no matter if Donald Trump ends up being on the ballot or off the ballot, is the extent of how dangerous he is to American democracy.
You can't save democracy by denying Americans the right to vote. You can't find somebody guilty of a crime that they haven't been charged with. In a 4-3 ruling, the Colorado Supreme Court said Trump engaged in an insurrection. And under the 14th Amendment, insurrectionists are constitutionally prohibited from holding office. Northern interests wrote this into the Constitution so Southern Confederates who took up arms against the Union and fought in the Civil War couldn't hold federal office. Donald Trump telling people to march peacefully and patriotically and then telling them to go home isn't an insurrection. Unelected state judges without a trial, a hearing, or any due process convicted a former president of a federal crime 2,000 miles outside of their jurisdiction and disenfranchised 6 million Americans in Colorado. The opinion reads like a Rachel Maddow script. The Democratic judges said Trump's an insurrectionist because once he told a crowd that in the old days a protester would be carried out in a stretcher. They also said, quote, President Trump threatened to deploy the military to Minneapolis to shoot looters amid protests over the police killing of George Floyd. Wanting to stop violence is now a call to violence. But Democrats who actually called for violence and participated in violence, it's fine. If that's the standard, Maxine Waters is an insurrectionist, no relation. But it's enough evidence for Joe Biden.
Mr. President, your reaction to the Colorado ruling on Trump at the ballot?
I'm not going to comment on a court case. That's up to the court. That's all I have to say.
Is Trump an insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think it's certainly self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero.
So if you arrest your opponent 4 times and you're still losing, you should resign. You shouldn't kick him off the ballot. But MSNBC says if you don't kick Trump off the ballot, you're no better than a slave owner.
What do you say to the Republican candidate's argument that this should be, the voters should have the say and not the courts?
What they're standing with is the spirit of those Confederates rather than the Americans who came together after a long and brutal civil war that was fought. They amended the Constitution to prevent those traitors from running for office. That should send a message that our election system, our electoral system, can be used for nefarious purposes against the democracy itself.
Think about what she said. The electoral system can be used against democracy. Elections can be used against democracy? Are we going to have to get rid of elections to save democracy? Now, I had a tarot card reading on Saturday night. She said I was going to have a loving and prosperous year. But then I asked about politics because the reading said an injustice would happen in the fall. I asked her about Trump. And she said Trump's either going to win or we're not going to have an election. Now, I'm not a big tarot card guy, but then this story happens. What's it going to do to the republic if we're not allowed to vote for the man we want to because of some unelected judge? Local judges banning candidates from running for president is what happens in third world countries. How are we supposed to believe the last election was honest when this election's already being stacked? Democrats scream voter suppression if you have to wait in line for an hour to vote for your candidate. Well, what do you call it when we can't vote for your candidate at all? That's voter intimidation? No, that's voter elimination. Seasoned political veterans across the political aisle all say this case is judicial insanity.
I think this case will be handled quickly. I think it could be 9-0 in the Supreme Court for Trump.
This country is a powder keg, and this court is just throwing matches at it. This is hands down the most anti-democratic opinion I've seen in my lifetime.
I would say to the judges, as I said to the Justice Department, you're actually making it more likely that Donald Trump is elected next November by how you are pursuing this.
The idea that 50 different state courts can decide a question involving the highest elective office in the executive branch, interpreting the federal Constitution as to what constitutes an insurrection against the federal government is incoherent.
And half those guys just then hate Trump. Now, when Democrat policies don't make your life better and Democrat politicians can't persuade you to give them more time, that's when they start suing. They take it away from the voters and they just have their judges throw it. These are the judges who are taking away your right to vote. One shatters. They call Justice Monica Marquez a gay icon. She went to Yale. Another justice, Richard Gabriel's a professional trumpet player, also went to Yale, also almost got Me Too'd. Then you have Melissa Hart, went to Harvard. She's been accused of discriminating against black people and old people and is the granddaughter of Archibald Cox, the special prosecutor during the Watergate scandal. Oh, and then there's William Hood III, who went to the same college Biden did. These 4 Democrats in robes stole your vote. This is a judicial assassination. And this legal fever is spreading. Now, California Democrats are aiming to strip Trump from the ballot. The Democratic Confederacy took Lincoln off 10 ballots. Today's Democrats have Trump off 1, and they're thirsty for more. It's a legal coup. And while they scream democracy, Democrat lawyers are arresting America's leading presidential candidate, raiding his house, stripping his business license, censoring his speech. Who's the real threat to democracy? Here's the former president. Watch.
Crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls.
Every time Trump's arrested, he becomes more powerful in the eyes of the voters. What's going to happen when they take him off the ballot? They're turning Trump into the greatest political underdog America's ever witnessed. They're setting up the greatest comeback story in American political history. They say they're protecting us from danger, but Trump's not a danger to us. He's a danger to them. And Americans are starting to ask themselves why. It feels like the left wants violence because that's where this is going. We're being baited so their actions are justified. That's how it feels. The more the left overplays their hand, the scarier this gets.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.